We will finish late.
Okay, good evening, everyone. As we welcome in Aaron Swade, we welcome in Stephen Holtzman, we welcome in Baruchian, Mark Franco, we welcome in Eddie Chazan, Ruvain Pollack, Shelley Zeitlin, Michal, Mo Kushner, Dr. Guy, Irving Fishbaum, Yisrael Fisher, Rabbi Kranz, Avi Ament, Shalom Fogel, Nachman Chapler, Menachem Umansky, Moshe Lehman, Avram Shankman, Ilya Shutman, Yisrael Yitzi Muller, Abe Arbach, Yehuda from Yerushalayim is trying to join us, and we have over here David Helfgott, Nachum Rosenman is coming on, and we are dedicated by Baruch Ian, Leili Nishmas, Esther Bas Yoni, Yaakov Chaim and Avram ben Shmuel HaKayin, and also for Shalema for Baruch Shalema ben Lina, by Aaron Swade for his first wife, Chana Bas Shmuel, his sister, Freda Bas Shaul, Mark Frankel for Shalema for Miriam Sarah Bas Sipora, Chana Bas Gittel Esther, Beirich Goldwasser, Hakar Satay for what Hashem did for his family and for the Chayli Yisrael. We learn for Shalema from my Shver Avigdor Aryeh ben Rivka Meir ben Chayesari Yudas Cyril Bas Miriam. We learn for the situation in Eretz Yisrael that things should get better and better, and people should be safe and should be healed. Hostages should be recovered, and they should accomplish all that they need to do for Klal Yisrael. We welcome in Eli Udell, Richard Rosenzweig. We start with a capital Tillim. Shalom Alos Eseina Yeloharim Me'ayin Yavo Ezri Ezri Me'madina Yosei Shemayim Va'aretz Al Yitain Lamoit Raglecha Al Yonum Sheimerecha Hinei Lo Yonum V'Lo Yishan Sheimer Yisrael Adonai Shemrecha, Adonai Tzilcha Al Yad Yaminecha, Yomam HaShemesh, Lo Yakek Over Yerech B'Layla, Adonai Yishmarcha Mikol Ra, Yishmar Es Nafshecha, Adonai Yishmar Tzeischa V'Yecha, Me'ata Av Yad Olam. Achenu Kol Beis Yisrael, Hanasunu Batzar V'Shiv Yoim Dimei Bayam V'Bein Bayabash, Abraham Kemirachem Aleim, V'Yitziam Etzar Lavacha, M'Fei Loiro, Mishub L'Gulash, Lavagolav Zman Korev. Okay, Rabbi Sai, we have a big night tonight because we have also a Chumash Yirim Yetz Hashem, big Chumash Yir, starting out the Chumash once again, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'hakol niyeh b'dvaro. So now the Gemara asks, Ma'ishna hacha, bottom line of Daf Nun Chesed Beis, Ma'ishna hacha, why over here, when Mark tells somebody to be Mekadesh, a woman for him, actually Shelley told somebody to be Mekadesh, a woman for him, Mark to be Mekadesh, and Mark instead took her for himself. So, Ma'ishna hacha, diktani ha'omer l'chaveiroi, he says to his friend, as if it was a passing thing, Mark, if you go over there, then do it. Umayishna Hasam, earlier in the Masechta, we said, that Yisrael tells Dr. Guy, I send you to... I send you to bring a get to Borough Park. So he said that if he goes somewhere else, it's not a good get. If he does the get in Cedarhurst, it's not good. So the question over here is why, when we refer to Shelley sending Mark, we just say Chaveiroi. It was a casual thing. If you pass by, he didn't actually make him an agent. And in the case of Yisrael, he made Dr. Guy his agent. So, oh wow, Marshall Castle is letting us know that his computer is not working. I was wondering why he's not here. Anyway, so the Gemara answers, Hacha Revusa Kamash Malan. Here it tells us a Chiddush. V'hasam Revusa Kamash Malan. And over there it tells us a Chiddush, a novelty. Hacha Revusa Kamash Malan. De'itana Shluchai. If Shelley made Mark his agent, then is where we say that he's a Ramai. Havamino shluchu dave Ramai. That because he made him his agent to be Mekadesh Shpinza, and Mark took Shpinza for himself after Shelley made him an official agent. Then he's a shrewdster. Why? The Samchadate, because Shelley relied on him. Savar Avidli Shlichusi. I made him a specific agent. He's going to do my agency. Aval Kaveirai. But if he just told the fellow, listen, you're passing through there. Doloi Samchadate. He didn't make him an agent. He didn't send him on a mission. He didn't rely on it. I might think that Mark is not considered then to be a deceptive fellow. Because he wasn't made an official agent. So he told him, if you're passing by. So Mark decided to take Shpinza for himself. Kamash Malan, that even if Shelley just told him, if you're passing by, and Mark double-crossed him and took Shpinza for himself, he's considered a shrewdster. Hasam Revusa Kamash Malan, and also in the case where Yisrael made Dr. Galai a shliach, the itana ahaimer lechaveirai. If it said that he said it to a fellow, havamina chaveirai hu dichikacher b'makam acher, that if he was mekadesh, not again, if he was mekadesh Sheila in a different place than in Borough Park, Einam Kadeshes. Why? Because he figured that since he told him, if you're passing by Borough Park, be Mekadesh Sheila for me, he didn't think that he would go out of his way to do it in Cedarhurst, because he just said, if you're passing by, and therefore he didn't have in mind to give him that delegation. The Savar Le Torah, because he figured he's not going to trouble to do it elsewhere. Aval Shluchai. But if Yisrael made Dr. Guy his agent, he gave him a mission, so the Torah, there he would have it would dawn on him that maybe Dr. Guy would do it somewhere else also. I might think that he told him Borough Park just as giving him an idea where Sheila would be, but if he does it and say to her, it's good. Kamash Malan, like we explained when we learned the Gemara over there, Marshall is here. Good. Baruch Hashem.
Baruch Hashem.
Yeah. Mark says, Marshall, you couldn't come back a minute sooner. Mamish a minute sooner.
I'm off the hook.
Yeah, off the hook. You were dangling there. But I'm glad you came back anyway.
Mark, you're never off the hook.
Well, Marshall, you beat the rap on some Gemaras, boy. Oh, you left Mark hanging pretty bad.
Thank God for the Blackhawks. Nice, Marshall. Very nice.
Anyway, now that Marshall is back in his perch,
where are we?
We are on Daf Nun Tes Amud Aleph in Masechtas Kiddushin Bavli.
Bavli?
Yeah, put away your Yerushalmi.
I had the African version. Sorry.
Anyway,
Swahili.
So anyway, the reason why, even if Dr. Guy is Yisrael's agent, it's still not a good Kiddushin if he does it elsewhere from Borough Park, because remember we said that he told him to be Mekadesh only in Borough Park because people in Borough Park know him and they'll have good things to say about him. People in Cedarhurst don't know him, and therefore he didn't give him an agency to be Mekadosh her in Cedarhurst. Ravin Chasida, and for those that are just joining us, those that are late, I can't imagine who would be that way, but anyway, for those that are late and whose first name starts with an N, those that are late, and I'm not talking about Mark, we're holding by Ravin, which is 10 lines from the top of Nun Tes Amud Aleph. Ravin Chasida also the Kiddushin Daf it's a celebrate. Ravin the pious, and get a load of this. This is Ravin the pious. He went to be Mekadosh a wife for his son, and it seems to be that his son wanted the shidduch. And at the end, Kitchel and Nafshe, he took her for himself. Says the Gemara, how could he behave that way? What he did, that's acting deviously. Says the Gemara, lo yavua nihale. They wouldn't give her to his son. And since she was such a very good catch, he took her for himself. So the Gemara says, but the right thing, the ethical thing, wouldn't it be that he should go back first and tell his son? He should tell his son. Says the Gemara, no, if he was afraid by the time he would go back and tell her son, somebody else would snatch her. Savar adhach. In the meantime, somebody else would take her. Another story. Rabba Babachana Yovle Zuze L'Rav. Rabba Babachana gave money to Rav. Amar Zovna Nihale Lahai Ara. You know that property on the corner of 9? You know that property? Buy it for me. So Ozel Zovna L'Nafshe. Rav, instead of buying it for Rabba Babachana, he bought it for himself. Says Gemara, if you chop it for yourself, when somebody gives you an agency, what you do, you just did el shenoig by minigrabais, but it's deceitful. Rav would not do something deceitful. Says the Gemara, Baga da'alima havale. He saw that the property was surrounded by a bunch of rough people, by a bunch of strong-handed people. L'Rav nogebe covered. Rav knew that he wouldn't have any trouble with them. But Rabba Babachana lo nogebe covered. Rabba Babachana would be harassed by them, and therefore he didn't buy it for Rabba Babachana. Says Gemara, but he should have let him know. He should have let Rabba Babachana know. Again, Rav didn't want to lose the real estate. Savar adhachi v'achi. In the meantime, us in the shachrina zavinla, somebody else would buy it out from under him. Rev Gidel have a mahapach bahiyar. This is a wild story. Rabbi Isai, fasten your seatbelts as we welcome in Jay Altman and David Gestetner. So Rav Gidel have a mahapach bahiyar. Rav Gidel was trying to purchase a certain piece of real estate. Also, Rabbi Abba, while Rav Gidel was negotiating, Rabbi Abba went and Zavna bought it underneath him. Chapterois. So also Rav Gidel kablei Rabbi Zera. Rav Gidel went and he complained to Rabbi Zera about the behavior of Rabbi Abba. Also Rabbi Zera v'kiblei Rabbi Tzignafcha. Rabbi Zera thought it was, above his pay scale. So Reb Zera went and told Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha. So Amalei, so Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha said, Hamten ad shiyale etzleinu l'regel. Wait until he joins us for the communal drasha on the Yom Tov, and we'll ask him about it. Kisalik, when Rabbi Abba came up, Ashkechei, they found him. So they asked him respectfully, Amalei ani mahapach becharara, if a poor man is trying to procure a certain cookie that was available, uba achar v'not lehemenu, and another person came and snatched it, my Amalei, if he saw that he was trying to get it and he snatched it from under his nose, Nikar Rasha. So then he said, so if Elamar, my time of it, Hachi, if Rav Gidel was trying to buy a property, why did you snatch it from underneath his nose? Amalei, so he says, Lo Yavi Yadana. I didn't know. I didn't know that Rav Gidel was trying. I would have never done that. So he says, so Ashtanami Neisve Nihali. So now sell it back to him. Give it back. Neisve Nihali Mar. So you got to hear this. Amalei Zvune Loi Mezvenina La. I won't sell it to him. Why? The Arakamaisi, it's the first land I ever bought. And to sell right away the first land that you ever bought is a bad simon. V'loi misamna milsa. That's a bad sign. But I'm willing to give it to him as a gift. I'll give it to him as a gift. Ibai b'matana nishkalei. I'll give it to him as a gift. That's not a bad sign. To do something kind with it is not a bad sign. Rav Gidel loy nachisla. Rav Gidel didn't want to take it. Dichsiv v'saynei matanis yichya. You don't want to take presents. Rabbi Abba loy nachisla. Rabbi Abba didn't want to use it. Mishum da'afach by Rav Gidel, because he pulled it under Rav Gidel's nose. So lo mar nachisla and lo mar nachisla. Neither of them used it, and it was sitting empty. And rabbis used to use it from time to time because it wasn't being used. O miskarya arad rabbanan, and it was called the land that was available for rabbis to have picnics in, to bring their families to. You see the high ethical standards of our Gedolei Yisrael. Now, let's get back to Marshall.
I just got here.
I didn't notice.
Good. Go back to Mark.
Now, here what happened is that Marshall said to Shpinza, you should be mekudeshes to me after 30 days. So he said that if Mark marries her before 30 days, so Mark gets her. Says the Gemara, loy ba'achar v'kitcha b'say shloshim. If, let's say, Mark didn't come, so what happens after 30 days? So, of course, Rav Shmuel Dimrei Tovayu, Mekudeshes. If Marshall said to Shpinza, you should be Mekudeshes to me after 30 days, and gives her money, and nobody comes in between, so then in 30 days, she's Mekudeshes to Marshall. V'afal pishinis achlu amois. And that's true even though she used up the money already. In other words, Marshall gave her $100. You should be Mekudeshes to me after 30 days. Even though in a month's time, she gambled the money on the horses, and she lost the money. Remember, we're talking about Marshall's flame here.
That's my time to go.
Right? She gambled the money on the horses, and it's not there anymore. She's still Mekudeshes to Marshall. Says the Gemara, my time. What's the reason? Simple. Hani zuze loyla mil v'damu. The money is not like a loan. V'loyla pikadon damu. And it's not like a deposit. The pikadon loy damu, it's not a deposit because a deposit would still remain in Marshall's possession. Pikadon rishus damara kamis achle. A deposit would be eaten up while it's still in Marshall's possession. V'hani b'rishus adida kamis achle. But this was given to her. Lemilva nami loy damu. It was also not given for a loan. A loan is given to be spent for no specific reason. Here, this money was given for Kiddushin. L'milva Leitzonet is given to spend whatever she wants. In other words, it's not tied to any string. Hani b'teres Kiddushin yovin inala. This was given to her for Kiddushin, and therefore, in 30 days, whether the money is around or not, they are married. Now, says Gemara, here's an interesting question. Marshall says to Shpinza, in 30 days you should be Mekudeshes. And she says yes. And then she starts talking to the people on zoomdaf.com. And they find out who Marshall really is. So Sprinzer says, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. Can she back out after she already gave her approval? Very interesting question. 2 marshals. Oh no, 2 marshals. my biggest nightmare. Who would believe such a thing could happen? Now. Yeah, okay. So let's see the Gemara inside. Loi ba'akar v'kitcha. Mark didn't come and snatch her. V'chazra ba, but she backs out before the 30 days. Mao. Reb Yochanan Amar Chayzeres. Before the 30 days, she could back out because Asi Diber or Mavatal Diber. Her saying, I changed my mind, could be Mavatal, her original yes. Reish Lakish Amar Eina Chayzeres. She can't back out. Lo Asi Diber or Mavatal Diber. Her saying she changed her mind cannot negate, cannot nullify her original agreement, and therefore she can't back out. She's going to need a get. So Eisvei Rabbi Yochanan Reish Lakish. So Rabbi Yochanan asked. Remember, Rabbi Yochanan holds that Diber could be Mavatal Diber. So Rabbi Yochanan asked Reish Lakish. We learned that if, let's say, Shelley tells Yitzi to separate Truma from his field, and then he says to Yitzi, forget it. Beetle, if he cancels the agency, im at shaloi torim Beetle, if before Yitzi removes the Truma, he said, forget it, then even if Yitzi removes the Truma afterwards, ain't Trumasa Truma. So we see that Diber could be Mavatal Diber, because he told him to do it, and now he tells him not to do it. So we see that works. And you see, so therefore we should say it over here also, that when she says, I changed my mind, Diber should be Mavatal Diber. So now Reish Lakish says his true reason. Reish Lakish says, when Marshall gave her the money, and she accepted the money, that's more than a Diber. That's an action. Shani nesinas mois liyad isha. That when she accepts the money, the chimaisa dami. That's an action. V'lo yasi diber mavatal meiser. And her saying now she changed her mind cannot be mavatal her accepting the money, and therefore she's stuck with Marshall. A fate that's worse than now. Eisvei. So the Gemara says,
you get a lot of francs. Don't worry about it.
I noticed that, Marshall, that you moved to the psychiatrist's couch. I noticed that. Now,
all the help I can get.
Now, well, I was like really scared when I saw 2 marshals. I was. Now.
That's just Purim shtick early. Sorry.
Yeah. Eisvei. Hashileach get le'ishtay. If a man sends a get to his wife, right? Chatzkel sends a get to Sally, and then he has second thoughts. V'yigia b'shliach, and he overtakes the messenger. Or sheshalach achrav shliach, or he sends somebody to overtake the messenger. V'amalei, and he tells him, get shenasati lach batalu, the get that I gave you is batal. Harizeh batal. It's batal. So isn't the giving of the get to the shliach a maisa? And even though giving the get to the shliach is a maisa, he could cancel it just with an amira. V'nesinas get liyad shliach, d'chi nesinas mois liyad isha dami. It's like giving money to the hands of the woman. Viktani harizeh bottle. Says the Gemara, no. Giving money to the woman, that's an act of Kiddushin. That's a Maisa. Giving the get to the Shliach until it gets to the woman, that's only a mission of Dibur. That doesn't accomplish a chalois of anything. Giving money to a woman, that's a chalois of a Kiddushin. That's a nice Kiddushin. Giving a get to a Shliach is not a chalois, so that's considered like a Dibur. Hasam nami kol kama d'loimata gita liyada, when the get doesn't reach your hand, Dibur v'Dibur. And that everybody agrees that Asi Dibur or Mavatal Dibur. So now,
the shliach is an extension of him. Of course, he could be Mavatal himself. Here, the woman is a different person. I don't know why the Gemara didn't say such.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? She said she wants to be married to Marshall, and then she said she didn't want it. It's the same person.
But she did a Maisa.
So the Gemara wanted to say that this is also a Maisa.
So we're saying
that it's not a Maisa. Now, Eisvei, 2 lines from the bottom of Daf Nun Tes Amud Aleph, 2 lines from the bottom, and I am sorry that I failed to welcome the wonderful people that we have here in the shul, Saba and Reb Kramer and Reb Gedalia Engel and Reb Berish Gesseman. So it's great to have everybody here. You know who we have to get back? We have to invite him. We have to call him. We have to call Chaim Lerner. Chaim Lerner hasn't been back for a while. We have to get the truancy agents out for him. See, Shimon Deer, it's good to have you with the Babela here. Soon, Shimon, when the baby gets a little bit older, maybe we'll be zeicha to have you come back here in person. We miss you here in person.
That'd be nice. It really would.
Okay. Eisvei Reish Lakish to Rabbi Yochanan. Now we turn the tables. Now Reish Lakish, who says that she can't back out and she's stuck with Marshall. Eisvei Reish Lakish to Rabbi Yochanan.
Can't think of worse.
Neither could I. Kol HaKelim, all utensils, Yordin Lidei Tum'asan B'machshava. We know that a keli cannot receive tumah unless it is finished. Now, kelim can begin to be susceptible to tumah simply with the machshava, with the thought of the craftsman that it's finished. The craftsman has in mind, you know what? It's ready. That makes it a finished keli and it's susceptible to tumah. Ve'ein oilin midei tumasim, but let's say it became tameh, and the craftsman wants to be a wise guy and say, you know what? It's not finished yet. Wants to change it. Ve'ein oilin midei tumasim ela b'shinui ma'isa. Oh, he has to do a change. He has to do a change to make it not a keli anymore. Right? It's not enough to say, no, I'm going to add more stuff to it. It's not a keli. You can't do that. Now, as we turn to Nun Tes Amud Beis, Maisa moitzi miyad Maisa. So if, let's say, he even did an action to finish it as a keli, and he polished it, and he said, okay, it's finished. If he does something, he breaks off a piece, so Maisa moitzi miyad Maisa, and therefore it takes it out from its status of a keli. Or miyad machshava. And of course, a Maisa will help if he just thought that it's finished. Machshava, but a thought, ein a moitzia loy miyad Maisa. It doesn't take it from a Maisa. If he did an action to finish it as a keli, a thought to say that it's not a keli doesn't help. And also v'loy miyad machshava. And it doesn't help even to take it from a machshava. If he had a machshava that it was finished, he can't say, no, you know what, I'm going to add something to it. It's not yet a keli. So Bishloima miyad ma'isa loy mapka. I understand why machshava, and the Gemara is equating over here machshava to dibur. I understand why machshava will not take it out from ma'isa. Bishloima miyad ma'isa loy mapka deloy osid dibur umavatal ma'isa, because dibur cannot come and be mavatal ma'isa. Eli miyad machshava miya topic. But why can't a machshava baitzi miyad machshava? In other words, why can't, let's say he had a machshava that it's finished, why can't a machshava now, instead he says that I'm going to add something to it, why can't a machshava be baitzi miyad machshava? Says the Gemara, well, shani machshava de tumah, a machshava of tumah is different. You know why? The chi maisa dami, because a machshava of tumah is like a maisa. That means that if a shoemaker has the shoe on the stand and he looks at it and he says it's ready, so that is considered as if he put in the final nail in the heel and said it's finished. Why do we say that? Because we find that a thought is considered like an action by tumah. The din is, in order for foodstuff to be susceptible to contamination, you need to moisten it. Right? That's called hechsher tumah. Now, there's a stira in the pasuk by hechsher. The Rapapa Ramik. Rapapa asks a contradiction. Ksiv ki yitain, if you put water on the food, the karinon ki yutan, but it's red if it goes on it, not if you put it, if it gets on it by itself. Hoketzad, ki yutan dumya dechiyitain. If the water goes on it by itself, it's similar to when you put the water on. Ma'yitin, when you moisten it, it's that you're pleased with the moistening. Af yutan, if it rains, you didn't put the water on, but you're happy that the water is there, denichale. So we see that your machshava, that you're happy that it's wet, is considered like a maisa, like tumah, of moistening itself. So therefore, a machshava by tumah is not simply a machshava, but a machshava by tumah is equated to a maisa. Now, Rav Zvid taught the aforementioned conversation that we just had on a different part of the Mishnah. Rav Zvid masnei lahosh maitza. Rav Zvid taught this machloikis between Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. Aha. V'chein hi shenosna rishus l'shlucha l'kacha. She went ahead and told Shelley, Deborah told Shelley to be mekadesh her to a man. But v'holchehi v'kitsha es atzma. She went ahead and instead saw Marshall and took Marshall. She sent Shelley to be mekadesh her chatzka. But beforehand, she was overwhelmed by Marshall and his Frankfurters, and she accepted Kiddushin for Marshall. Im shalok kadma, if she accepted for Marshall before Shelley got to Chatzkel, then Kiddushin. Vim shel shlucha kadmu, but if Shelley got to Chatzkel first, then ain't Kiddushin. Says the Gemara, loy kitcha es atzma. if she didn't accept Kiddushin for Marshall, but v'chazra ba, she changed her mind before Shelley got to Chatzkel, she changed her mind and she said, forget it. Mao. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Chayzeres. Rabbi Yochanan says she could cancel it. Reish Lakish Amar Eina Chayzeres. She can't cancel it. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Chayzeres Asi Dibur Mavatal Dibur. That her secondary nullification can cancel the first agency. Now over here, by the way, you notice that there's no Maisa. She just told Shelley to, accept on her behalf Kiddushin from Chatzkel. Reish Lakish Amar Eina Chayzeres Lo Asi Dibur Mavatal Dibur. Her second issuance cannot nullify her first instruction. So now the Gemara goes through again with the questions that we had. Eisvei Rabbi Yochanan Reish Lakish Beetle, in the event that Shelley told Yitzi to take truma from his field, and then he nullifies it. Im actually Toram Beetle, if he did it, he nullified it before Yitzi took it, then ain't truma a truma. The truma that Yitzi did is not good truma. So here you see that a dibur could come and mavatal the dibur. Says the Gemara, no. What happened over here is after he told Yitzi, Shelley went ahead and separated him himself. Oh, so then it's a maisa. Amar Rava Shelley went ahead with Torah Meskiriyai. He took the truma himself from his pile. Oh, Davale Maisa. Everybody holds that a Maisa is Mavatal the Dibber. Eisvei Reish Lakish. So now Reish Lakish asks Rabbi Yochanan, we said Kol HaKerim Yodin Lidei Tumasim B'Machshava. All utensils can descend to a status of tumah, to be susceptible to tumah, and be rendered a keli with just a thought. But the ein oilam tumasin, if they became tummy, they can't have their status of a keli removed. Ela b'shina ma'isa, only by breaking it, by doing something, by doing an action. Ma'isa moitzi miyad ma'isa. An action could be moitzi from an action. That means if you did an action to break it, that could be moitzi from the action to finish it as a keli. And miyad machshav, of course, from the mere thought that it's a finished keli. Machshava, but the thought that it's not a keli anymore, ain't a moitzia loy miyad ma'isa v'loy miyad machshava. It can't take it out from the status of an action if you finished it as a keli, and even from the status of just thinking that it's already finished. So this is a kasha, which Reish Lakish asks on Rabbi Yochanan. Machshava is tantamount to dibur. According to your Rabbi Yochanan, dibur nullifies dibur. Now why can't a machshava that it's not a keli anymore be moitzi from a machshava that it is a keli? So bishlam miyad ma'isa loy mapka, that if you taka finished it as a keli, a machshava that it shouldn't be a keli anymore doesn't work because lo yasi dibur mamatal ma'isa. Ela miyad machshava miyad topic. If let's say you had in mind it's finished, then why can't you, now that it's tameh, say, you know what I have in mind, I'm going to add something more to it. It's not finished. Amalei, so he says, like we learned earlier, shani machshava de tumah. A thought of tumah is different to chimaisa dami. It's tantamount to an action, because we learn out by hechsher that the mere thought that you want the rain to moisten it is considered as if you actually moistened it. Ukid Rapapa, the Rapapa Rami, Rapapa asks a contradiction. Ksiv ki yitain, if you put water on it, v'karina ki yutan, if the water fell on it. Haketzat, ki yutan dumya di yitain. Where the water fell on it is similar to where you put the water on it. Ma yitain the nichale, you want it to be moistened, af yutanami, so if it rains and you want it to get wet, the nichale, for example, if it rains and you don't want the fruit to be red because it's going to be soggy, then it doesn't make it moistened to be mekabel tumah. So Eisvei Rabbi Yochanan Reish Lakish. So Rabbi Yochanan asked Reish Lakish, you say that she cannot nullify her agency to Shelley to accept Kiddushin from Chatzkel, Hashelech get li'ishtoi, if you send a get, let's say Chatzkel sends a get to his wife, V'gir b'shliach, and he overtakes the shliach, oisha shalach acharav shliach, or he sends after that agent an agent. V'amalei get shenasati lach batalu, the get that I gave you is nullified. How is that batal? So you see that Dibur comes and is mavatal Dibur. Says, you know, you're right. To Yufta, the Reish Lakish to Yufta, it's a refutation of Reish Lakish. The Hilchas Kavase the Rabbi Yochanan. The law is that your oral instructions can be mavatal your previous oral instructions. It says Gemara Vafilo b'Kamaisa, and even in the first case, even in our first case, where she sent Mark to where he sent Mark to be Mekadesh Spinza, he could cancel the agency. The Afal gav the Ikelamemer, even though we might say that since we sent Mark, even where he gave her the money to be Mekadesh her after 30 days, and then she says, you know what, I don't want Marshall. I heard enough about him. I don't want him.
Okay, who's spreading rumors?
I don't want him. It's too big of a list. Says the Gemara. Says the Gemara. Va'afilu b'kamaisa. Even the first case where Marshall said you should be mekudeshes to me in 30 days, and gives her the money, and she then says she changes her mind. The afal gav the ikalamemi, you could say over there, since she accepted the money, that's a maisa. Shani nesinas moisli ad isha the kemaisa dummy. I might think that that's like a maisa, and therefore she, in such a case, maybe she can't just cancel it with a mere I changed my mind. Afilu achi, it's considered asi diber umavatal diber. So it says the Gemara, wait a second. Kashi hilchasa. We have a kashi here, one halacha and another halacha. Amrit hilchasa Rabbi Yochanan. We said that the halacha is like Rabbi Yochanan, that diber could be mavatal diber, but v'kaimal on hilchasa Rav Nachman. We also have a rule, as we welcome in, by the way, Stephen, and we welcome in Sandy Grunfeld, says the Gemara, but v'kaimal on hilchasa Rav Nachman. We have a tradition that the halacha is like Rav Nachman. Di bayilhu maushi yalzer v'yigaresh bay. What's the din? If what happened over here is Chatzkel sent with Mark a get to his wife, and then Chatzkel says that it should be void. So he voided the agency. The halacha is that he could use that get again. If he changes his mind and wants to divorce her, he could use the get again. So the Ibailu, Maushi Yahzer V'Gayish Bay, could he use the get again? Rav Nachman Oimer Chayzer Megarish Bay, he could use it again. Rav Sheshes Omer Eina Chayzer Megarish Bay. V'Kaimal on Hilchos Kavasid Rav Nachman. But if we hold that Dibur is Mavatal Dibur, so then he stripped the get of its power. How could it be used again? So the Gemara says, when he was Mavatal the agency, he was only Mavatal Mark as an agent to bring it. He didn't void the power of the get. As the Gemara says, Nehei debatle mitayre shliach, even though he negated it from Mark from being a shliach to bring the get, mitayre's get like batle. He didn't negate the power of the get. Now, we welcome in Philippe, and I know we have some people that are joining us already for the Chumash here, because it's 9 o'clock, but you have to wait. The Chumash here will be starting shortly, probably in about 10 minutes. We have it's a very big daf. So it says that if the first case in the Mishnah is where Marshall said to Sarah, you should be Mekadeshes to me in 30 days. And Shalom proffers Kiddushin to her right away. So he said she's Mekadeshes to Shalom.
Thanks, buddy.
She's Mekadeshes to Shalom. I forgot to tell you that Sarah had $100 million. She just won the lottery. She's Mekadeshes to Shalom. So now the Gemara says an astounding thing. Amar Rav Mekadeshes l'sheni la'olam. She belongs to Shalom always. V'shmuel Mekadeshes l'sheni ad lamed yom, until 30 days. La'achar lamed yom, but after 30 days, pocket kedusha sheni, Shalom's kedushin goes off with the $100 million. The Gomra kedusha rishon, and Marshall's kedushin finishes. So the Gemara says that can't be. If he said that she should be Mekadeshes only in 30 days, and Shalom came and was Mekadesh before, so once she's Mekadesh to Shalom, how could that Kedushin go off? And that's what the Gemara says. The Yosef Rav Chisda v'Kakashalei Kedushay Sheni, the Kedushin of Shalom, but my poke. How does it go off? That's impossible. So the Gemara says you're right. This halacha is not going on the first case in the Mishnah, it's going on the second case in the Mishnah. Amalei Rav Yosef Mar Areisha Masnala, you're teaching it where Marshall just said you're Mekadeshes to me after 30 days, and therefore V'kashalei. Therefore you have a problem with it. Rav Yehuda Seifa Masnala. Rav Yehuda is teaching it on the latter case where Marshall said you should be Mekadeshes from now in 30 days. V'loi kashalei. Me'achshav v'lachar shloishim yom, where Marshall says to Sarah, you should be Mekadeshes to me from now in 30 days. Amarav Mekadeshes v'einu Mekadeshes la'olam. The din is that and what happened was Shalom came and was Mekadesh her right away. So Mekadeshes ve'ena Mekadeshes la'olam. It's a suffix with Shalom forever. We don't know what the status is. V'shmuel hama Mekadeshes ve'ena Mekadeshes ela ad lamed yom. She's only until 30 days. La'acha lamed, but after 30 days, when retroactively the Kedushin with Marshall is solidified, Paka Kedusha Sheni, Shalom's Kedushin goes off, the Gomrei Kedusha Rishon. Now what's going on over here? If it means retroactive, then how could Rav say that she's Mekudeshes missuffix to Shalom forever? Once 30 days come, it's retroactive, so then there was no way that Shalom could be Mekadesha. It was retroactive from when Marshall gave her the money before Shalom even met her. Says the Gemara, you see, Rav is not sure when Marshall said, May achshav v'lachar shloishim yom, he's not sure if Marshall meant a stipulation from now in 30 days, or if he changed his mind. From now, no, in a month. So if he meant from now in 30 days, so then there's no room for Shalom to be Mekadesha, because once 30 days come, it's retroactive back to the beginning. Shalom can't be Mekadesha. He's out the 100 million. On the other hand, Marshall might have meant now, no, in 30 days. Then Shalom got in first. So since Rav is not sure which way it is, if it's a stipulation, or he backed out, so therefore Shalom's Kiddushin is a suffix. L'shmuel pshita le'detanavav. According to Shmuel, it's pashut that it's a condition. From now in 30 days. Once 30 days comes, it's retroactive. Shalom is out of the picture. Ubeplukta dahani tanoi. And they're actually arguing in the machloikis of the following tanoi. The Tanya, me'ayoimu la'achamisa. Chatzkel says, the get should be from today after I die. So get the inner get, divrei chacham. It's a suffix get. Rabbi, because that get, he meant from today when he dies, because you can't give a get after he dies. So he says from today when he dies, in order that she shouldn't fall a yibam, right? He didn't want her to have to marry. They were childless. He didn't want her to have to marry his brother. So the chachamim hold, we're not sure, because we're not sure if he meant me'ayim, no, after I die, and then it's not a get at all. Or if he meant as a t'nai from now when he dies, and then it is a good get. So it's according to the Chacham, it's a suffix. Rabbi Yama kazeh get. Rabbi says no, this is a get for sure. It's definitely a t'nai. So the Gemara says, so then why are Rav and Shmuel arguing about it as if it's their argument? Why don't the name of Rav Halacha K'Rabbanan, that it's a suffix, whether it's a Tanai or a Chazara, the name of Shmuel Halacha K'Rebbe. So the Gemara says Tzricha. They have to argue in both cases. The Ilu Amar Rav Halacha K'Rabbanan. If Rav would say Halacha K'Rabbanan, Havamina, where is Rav Mesupik, whether it's a Tanai or a Chazara? Eddie, you have to keep yourself muted. And all those that are on for the Chumash year, we're starting the Chumash year momentarily. So if the Ilu Amar Rav Halacha K'Rabbanan, that by get where he says me'hayoim ul'achamisa, that we say that it's a suffix if it's a t'nai or a chazara. Havamina hasam delurachayka kasi. There it's where to send her away. Maybe he changed his mind. Aval hacha delakrova kasi. But over here where it's to bring her close, ema maidale l'shmuel, that Marshall didn't change his mind and back out, but it's a t'nai, and he meant from now in 30 days. The t'nai. On the other hand, v'ilu ama Shmuel halacha k'Rebbe, if Shmuel says halacha is like Rebbe, that it's definitely a t'nai. Havamina, you know why? By get, because everybody knows that there's no get after Misa. And therefore it's definitely not a chazara that he said, no, after I die. Because he knows there's no get after Misa. Havamina hosamu, they ain't get lacha Misa. Aval hacha, but over here, the yesh kiddushin lacha lamed, there is a Kiddushin after 30 days, that it might be a Chazara. From now, no. First in 30 days. So Tzricha, they had to argue in both cases. Okay, we're going to stop here now, Rabbi Isai. We did the Mishnah Yomis already, and now we're going to learn a really great Chumash here. I mean, you're not supposed to say, it says, Ya'alucha zar v'loi picha. You're not supposed to praise yourself. But I will tell you that I prepared for this year hours and hours, so I think it's worth the time to hear it.